Have you ever bitten into a grocery store watermelon, only to find it tastes like crunchy water? Now, imagine slicing into a heavy, sun-warmed melon that you grew yourself, bursting with dark red sugary juice. But wait, do you live in a cold climate? Maybe somewhere like Poland, the UK, or the northern states, where people say growing tropical fruit is impossible? Well, I'm here to tell you that they are completely wrong. Today, we are going to dive deep into the ultimate step-by-step guide for growing massive watermelons in cooler climates. I promise you that by the end of this video, you will know a specific set of treatments you must do right now to guarantee a huge harvest. But here is the crazy part. Most people kill their watermelon chances before they even plant the seed by making one totally avoidable mistake. So, are you ready to learn the secret to backyard watermelon success? Let me know in the comments right now. Do you think it is possible to grow a 20-pound melon in a place with a short summer? Let us find out. To understand how to hack the system, we need a quick look at where these amazing fruits come from. Watermelons originally hail from the hot, dry regions of Africa. They are essentially giant sponges that evolved to store water during long droughts. Because of this DNA, they absolutely crave heat and sunshine. For centuries, gardeners in cooler, northern regions like Europe thought it was a waste of time to even try planting them. But agricultural science and clever gardening techniques have changed the game completely. Today, we have special short-season varieties and specific growing methods that trick the plant into thinking it is on a tropical vacation. We are going to apply these modern gardening secrets to your backyard. You do not need a massive farm. You just need to understand how the watermelon thinks, how it grows, and what specific buttons to push to make it explode with fruit. Let us start right at the beginning with seed selection. This is where the magic truly begins. Do not even think about spitting out a seed from a grocery store melon and planting it. Let us debunk that common myth right now. Those store-bought melons are usually bred for long, hot climates, and they take about 120 days to mature. If you live in a cooler climate, the frost will kill your plant long before that fruit gets sweet. Instead, for easy watermelon care, you must buy seeds specifically labelled as early varieties. You are looking for words like sugar baby, early moonbeam, or icebox melons. These absolute champions are genetically programmed to mature in just 70 to 80 days. This gives you a massive unfair advantage. By choosing the right seed, you are literally buying yourself a month of extra time. Imagine trying to run a marathon but starting 10 miles ahead of everyone else. That is what planting early varieties does for your garden. Now that you have the right seeds, we need to talk about starting them indoors. Because our summer is short, we cannot just throw seeds in the ground and hope for the best. You need to start your seeds indoors about 3 to 4 weeks before your last expected spring frost. But here is the crucial trick. Watermelons absolutely hate having their roots disturbed. If you plant them in a big plastic tray and try to rip them out later, they will go into shock and stop growing for weeks. To avoid this, you must use biodegradable peat pots or make your own paper pots. This way, when it is time to move them outside, you plant the entire pot directly into the soil. The roots stay perfectly safe and snug inside. Fill these pots with a high-quality, light seed starting mix. Do not use heavy potting soil or dirt from your yard. The seeds need a fluffy bed to push their delicate roots through. This simple pot trick will save your plants from deadly transplant shock. Let us discuss temperature and lighting for your baby seedlings. This is a step many beginners completely mess up. Watermelon seeds are sun worshippers. They need the soil to be extremely warm to germinate, ideally around 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. If your house is chilly, place a seedling heat mat under the pots. Once those little green heads pop out of the soil, they are going to look for the sun immediately. If you just put them on a windowsill, They will stretch their necks toward the glass, becoming long, thin, and incredibly weak. We call these leggy seedlings, and they rarely survive outside. To build strong, stocky plants, you need to use artificial grow lights. Keep the lights just 2 or 3 inches above the top of the leaves. Leave them on for 14 to 16 hours a day. This intense light acts like a gym workout for your plants, building thick stems that will easily support heavy vines and massive fruits later on. Moving on to a process called hardening off. Imagine living your whole life inside a cozy, climate-controlled room and then suddenly being thrown outside into a windy, freezing rainstorm. You would be miserable, right? Your plants feel the exact same way. You cannot just take them from your warm living room and shove them into the garden. You have to introduce them to the harsh outdoor world slowly. About 10 days before planting them permanently, start taking your pots outside. On the first day, place them in a shady spot protected from the wind for just 2 hours, then bring them back inside. The next day, leave them out for 3 hours with a little bit of morning sun. Gradually increase their time outside and their exposure to direct sunlight over a week. This process literally thickens their cell walls, making them tough enough to handle cold nights and harsh winds. Skipping this step is a guaranteed death sentence for your watermelon dreams. While your plants are getting tough outside, you need to prepare their permanent home. Choosing the right location is absolutely critical for successful watermelon cultivation. You need to find the absolute hottest, sunniest spot in your entire yard. We are talking about full, blazing sun for at least 8 to 10 hours a day. Absolutely no compromises here. Watch your yard carefully. Notice where the frost melts first in the morning. That microclimate is your golden spot. Furthermore, watermelons need space to roam. Their vines can stretch out 8 to 12 feet long. Do not cram them into a tiny corner. If you are short on space, you can actually train the vines to grow up a strong trellis, but you will need to build little hammocks to support the heavy fruit later. The key takeaway here is maximum heat and maximum light. Treat this garden bed like a solar panel that needs to soak up every single ray of summer energy. Let us talk about the soil. Watermelons are heavy feeders, and they demand a very specific type of earth to thrive. They despise heavy, wet clay that suffocates their roots. They want loose, well-draining soil that warms up quickly in the spring. A few weeks before planting, you need to dig deep. I highly recommend creating raised mounds or small hills. Building a hill of soil about 8 inches high does 2 amazing things. First, it ensures that excess rain drains away instantly, keeping the roots from rotting. Second, a raised mound catches the sun's angles better, heating the soil much faster than flat ground. Mix a massive amount of rich, aged compost or well-rotted manure into these hills. This organic matter acts like a slow-release vitamin pill, providing steady nutrition. If your soil is acidic, you might need to add a little garden lime, as watermelons prefer a slightly acidic to neutral pH level. Treat the soil right, and the plant will do the rest. Here is a secret professional trick to warm the soil before you even plant. In colder climates, the air might feel warm in May, but the ground is often still freezing cold from winter. If you put warm, loving watermelon roots into cold soil, they will just sit there, shivering and refusing to grow. To fix this, cover your prepared garden mounds with black plastic mulch or a heavy dark tarp about 2 to 3 weeks before planting day. The colour black absorbs the heat from the sun and traps it deep inside the earth, raising the soil temperature by up to 10 degrees. When planting day finally arrives, cut a small X-shaped slit in the plastic, dig a little hole, and gently place your biodegradable pot right in. Leave the black plastic on the ground for the entire season. Not only does it keep the roots baking in a cosy oven, but it also stops weeds from stealing nutrients and keeps the developing fruits off the damp dirt, preventing horrible rot. Now we arrive at the most crucial watering rules for the early stages of growth. Water is in the name, so obviously they need a lot of it, right? Yes, but timing and method are everything. When you first transplant your seedlings, they need consistent moisture to establish their root system. However, you must water deeply and infrequently. If you just sprinkle a little water on top every day, the plant will grow shallow, lazy roots. Instead, give them a heavy, deep soaking once or twice a week, depending on the rain. This forces the roots to dive deep into the earth searching for moisture, which makes the plant incredibly resilient during a heat wave. And here is a golden rule of easy plant care. Never water the leaves. Always apply the water directly to the base of the plant at the soil level. Wet leaves are a magnet for fungal diseases that can wipe out your entire crop in a matter of days. Use a drip irrigation hose or a watering can with a long spout. We have reached the secret treatment that the title of this video promised. This is the ultimate trick for getting huge fruits instead of a massive jungle of leaves. It is called pruning the main vine. When your watermelon plant starts growing, it will send out one long primary vine. Most people just let this grow forever, but here is what you need to do instead. Once that main vine has grown about 5 to 7 large leaves, take your gardening shears and snip the very tip of it right off. Yes, cut the head off the plant. This might feel wrong, but do not panic. This mild trauma sends a chemical signal to the plant, forcing it to push its energy into lateral growth. It will rapidly send out 3 or 4 strong side vines from the base. These side vines are the ones that produce the best, biggest female flowers. By forcing the plant to branch out early, you are multiplying your chances of a heavy harvest. This is how the professionals do it. Let us talk about what happens next with these side vines. As they grow out, you need to manage them carefully. Your goal is not to have 50 tiny watermelons. Your goal is to have 3 or 4 giant, perfect ones. Allow these secondary vines to spread out and begin producing flowers. Once you see that 2 or 3 healthy little watermelons have successfully formed and are about the size of a golf ball, you need to make a tough decision. You must go to the end of the vine, count 3 leaves past the last fruit, and cut the end of the vine off again. Furthermore, remove any new baby melons that try to form on that same vine. This is called fruit thinning. By stopping the vine from growing longer and limiting the number of fruits, you are forcing the plant to pump every single drop of water, sugar, and nutrients directly into those chosen melons. It is the ultimate quality over quantity strategy. Do this and your melons will be enormous. Now we need to discuss a magical process called pollination. You might think the bees will do all the work for you, but in cooler climates or during rainy weeks, bees can be lazy and stay hidden. If a flower is not pollinated, the baby melon will turn black, shrivel up, and fall off. It is heartbreaking. To prevent this, you need to learn manual hand pollination. First, you must identify the flowers. Male flowers appear first. They sit on a thin, straight stem and have pollen inside. A few days later, female flowers will appear. You can easily spot them because they have a tiny, miniature green watermelon sitting right below the yellow petals. This is a brilliant example of nature showing you exactly what is what. To hand pollinate, pluck a fresh male flower in the early morning. Peel back its yellow petals to expose the pollen-covered stamen. Gently rub it all over the center stigma of the female flower. You have now guaranteed that fruit will grow. Let us shift our focus to feeding your watermelon monsters. These plants have a massive appetite, but they need different foods at different times. In the beginning, when they are just growing vines and leaves, they need a fertilizer high in nitrogen. You can use a liquid fish emulsion or a gentle organic feed. But the moment you see those first yellow flowers appear, you must stop the nitrogen immediately. If you keep giving them nitrogen, they will just grow more leaves and drop their flowers. You need to switch to a fertilizer that is high in phosphorus and potassium. Think of things like bone meal or a specialized tomato feed. Phosphorus builds a massive root system and promotes heavy blooming. Potassium is the secret ingredient that builds strong cell walls in the fruit and actually helps the plant transport sugars into the melon. Feeding them the right minerals at the flowering stage is the absolute key to sweet, giant fruits. As your precious watermelons begin to swell and get heavy, they face a new, hidden danger: the damp ground. If a heavy melon sits directly on wet soil or grass for weeks, the bottom will inevitably begin to rot, or ground-dwelling bugs will chew through the rind. To offer them the best, simplified protection, you need to elevate them. As soon as a melon reaches the size of a baseball, gently lift it and place a barrier underneath. You can use a piece of scrap wood, a flat stone, some dry straw, or even an overturned plastic container. Just putting that small layer of dry air between the fruit and the earth will save your harvest from sudden disaster. This also helps keep the melons slightly warmer, as the stone or wood can absorb heat during the day. Just be very careful when lifting them. The vines are brittle and can snap easily. A snapped vine means that melon is completely ruined. Treat them like delicate glass ornaments. We cannot have a complete gardening guide without addressing the enemy: pests. The most common invaders in a watermelon patch are aphids and cucumber beetles. Aphids are tiny green or black bugs that cluster under the leaves and suck the sap, making the leaves curl and die. Cucumber beetles are small yellow bugs with black stripes or spots, and they are incredibly destructive because they carry bacterial diseases that can kill a plant overnight. You must inspect your leaves, especially the undersides, at least twice a week. If you see a few bugs, do not panic and grab heavy chemicals. A strong blast of water from the hose can knock aphids right off. For persistent problems, mix a tablespoon of gentle dish soap with water in a spray bottle and coat the leaves in the evening. Neem oil is also a fantastic organic option that disrupts the bug's life cycle. Early detection is your best defense. Catch them while there are 10 bugs, not 10,000. Disease management is just as important as pest control. In cooler or humid climates, powdery mildew is the #1 killer of watermelon vines. It looks exactly like someone dusted your beautiful green leaves with white baby powder. This fungus blocks the sun, stopping photosynthesis and ruining the sugar content of your fruit. We already talked about watering at the base to keep leaves dry, but airflow is also critical. Do not plant your watermelons too close to tall fences or dense bushes that block the wind. The leaves need to dry quickly after a morning dew. If you spot powdery mildew, you can create a simple organic spray using 1 part milk to 9 parts water. Spray it directly on the white spots on a sunny day. The proteins in the milk interact with the sun to create an antiseptic that destroys the fungus. It sounds like crazy magic, but it is a scientifically proven hack for easy plant disease care. Now we are getting to the late stages of growth. Your melons are huge, the vines are slowing down, and you are dreaming of eating them. This is where you must apply the final secret technique. About 2 weeks before you think the melons are ready to harvest, you must completely stop watering them. Unless there is a massive heat wave and the plant looks like it is literally dying, do not give them a single drop of water. Why? Because if the plant absorbs a lot of water right at the end, it pumps that water directly into the fruit. This dilutes the natural sugars and gives you a bland, watery-tasting melon. By starving the plant of water in the final stage, you force the fruit to concentrate its sugars. The flesh becomes dense, incredibly sweet, and perfectly crisp. It is a terrifying thing to let your plants go thirsty, but trust me, this is the master trick to getting that intense, mouth-watering flavour everyone craves. We have finally arrived at the most anxiety-inducing moment for any gardener: knowing exactly when to pick the watermelon. If you pick it too early, it is white and sour. If you pick it too late, it is mushy and fermented. You cannot just guess. There are 3 precise scientific indicators you must check. First, look at the curly tendril closest to the stem of the melon. When the melon is growing, this tendril is green and flexible. When the melon is ripe, that specific tendril will turn completely brown, dry up, and look like a dead twig. If it is still green, walk away. That is rule number 1. This simple observation will save you from 90% of premature harvesting mistakes. The plant literally puts up a brown flag telling you it has cut off the food supply and the fruit is finished growing. The second indicator for perfect ripeness is the field spot. Remember how we put our melons on a board or stone? Gently roll the melon over and look at its belly where it rested in the shade. When a watermelon is immature, this spot will be white or pale green. As the sugars develop and the fruit matures, this spot will turn a rich, creamy, buttery yellow colour. If the spot is white, the melon is not ready. You want to see a deep, distinct yellow. This means the sugars have settled to the bottom and the fruit has baked in the sun long enough. Combining the dead tendril trick with the yellow belly trick gives you an incredibly accurate reading of what is happening inside that thick green rind. Never rush this process. Patience is the ultimate gardening tool. The final test is the famous thump test. This is an old farmer trick, but it takes a little practice to get right. Give the melon a firm flick or thump with your fingers. You are listening for a very specific sound. An unripe melon will give you a high-pitched, metallic ping sound, kind of like flicking your forehead. A perfectly ripe melon will produce a deep, hollow, low-pitched thud, similar to tapping your chest. It sounds full and heavy. Also, check the rind itself. An unripe melon has a shiny, glossy finish. A mature melon will actually turn slightly dull and matte on the outside. If you have a dead, curly tendril, a dark yellow field spot, a dull rind, and a hollow thud, you have struck absolute gold. Take your knife and cut the stem, leaving a few inches attached to the fruit to prevent rot if you store it. Let us quickly recap the journey we just took. We bypassed the climate rules by selecting early 70-day seeds and giving them a massive head start indoors with heat and lights. We protected them with black plastic mulch and fed them the exact sequence of nutrients they craved. Most importantly, we ruthlessly pruned the vines to force the plant's energy into producing giant fruits, hand-pollinated to guarantee success, and cut off the water at the very end to maximize the sugar. Growing watermelons outside of the tropics is not magic. It is just applied plant psychology. By following these specific targeted steps, you can transform a tiny backyard in a cold climate into a tropical fruit oasis. It just takes a little planning, some dirt under your fingernails, and the courage to snip a few vines. And there you have it, the ultimate blueprint for growing massive, sugar-sweet watermelons in almost any climate. Imagine the look on your friends' faces when you slice open a 20-pound beauty that you grew right in your own backyard while everyone else is eating bland supermarket fruit. The secret pruning treatment and the watering cutoff are game changers that will elevate your garden to professional levels. Thank you so much for watching and learning with me today. If you found these step-by-step secrets helpful and you are ready to plant some seeds, please hit that subscribe button and leave a like so we can keep bringing you the best gardening hacks on YouTube. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these steps surprised you the most? Was it cutting off the main vine or starving them of water at the end? Leave a comment down below and let us start a conversation. Until next time, happy gardening!